Ghost in the Shell was released in 1995, is directed by Mamoru Oshii, and is basically considered a classic now. I mean, it kind of has to be, considering that, like, it's one of the most famous animes out there. Even if you're not a massive anime fan, I still know people who are not that into anime, and they still at least know what Ghost in the Shell is, or have at least heard of it. And if you are an anime fan and you have not seen Ghost in the Shell yet, then I think you do need to sort that out by this point. Just to clarify, by the way, this was meant to be June's anime review, but due to my schedule becoming increasingly busy towards the end of that month, I didn't have any time to do an anime review for June. So I'm doing it now just to get it out of the way. You are still going to get July's anime review as well next week. I just thought I'd rather get this out of the way now rather than letting it linger even more. And my boy, this is a good one to talk about because, it's Ghost in the Shell. If you've seen Ghost in the Shell, you'll know exactly why I'm finding this review very hard to do, because I genuinely don't know what else to say about this movie that has not already been said. A million other critics worldwide throughout the years have pretty much said everything that has needed to be said about this movie. The animation is fucking gorgeous. The futuristic cityscape feels very gritty, but also very stylish and slick at the same time. And that's commendable for a live-action movie to do. Say, like Alien, a movie where everything looks very slick and stylish, but also very gritty and lived in as well. So it's good for a live-action sci-fi movie to do that, but for an anime to do that is even more impressive, because the amount of detail that is on show in the animation with each frame. In terms of, like, the action set pieces and the character movements, the animation is very fluid, very natural, and it's typical anime, really. It just works for the sake of this movie. The characters are really good, especially Major, who you initially don't know much about, and for a lot of the movie, her character in general is kind of left slightly ambiguous. But again, it works for the sake of the film, and the way she interacts with certain characters kind of adds to the ambiguity, but also makes her a little bit more likable in the process, because you're trying to figure it out along with her. The initial plot of the movie is very intriguing, especially for what it is. Some aspects of it may not seem particularly groundbreaking, but to be honest, it's mainly the characters and the world and the way the characters interact with said world that really drive the movie forward. That plot is mainly there to just push things along, and I think it works for the sake of that. Also, the themes this movie manages to delve into are very poignant and manage to really stick with you long after the movie is finished. Themes about humanity and things like that. It just really, really works. Especially one scene in particular where Major is just observing the people around her, and she is starting to realise that she is not like normal, everyday people. And it's just really subtle things like that that really give this movie extra layers, which I suppose warrant rewatches. Also, I can't not talk about this movie without addressing the incredible score by Kenji Keiwa. I've probably butchered that name, but I don't care. The score is phenomenal. When I first saw the movie, it kind of took me off guard, to be honest, the score, because the score is the first thing you literally hear in the film, and if you're not used to it, I suppose it's a little bit jarring. But after watching this movie a couple of times and knowing its cultural significance, this score is so synonymous with Ghost in the Shell that you can't separate the two. And it's just so haunting, but also kind of magical at the same time, I suppose. You'll know what I mean if you've heard it, but it is a fantastic score and works brilliantly for the sake of the movie. If I had to find a nitpick with Ghost in the Shell, and trust me, this is a very, very, very minor nitpick, is that the pacing in a couple of scenes feels a little inconsistent. There are one or two very, very small moments that drag a little, but that is it. Everything else about Ghost in the Shell is pretty much a masterpiece, and I can see why a lot of people love it as much as they do, which is why I'm going to give Ghost in the Shell a incredibly high 9 out of 10. Not quite 10 out of 10, but trust me, if I watch it several more times, it probably will end up being a 10 at this rate. In regards to the spin-off movies and the spin-off shows as well, I haven't seen any of them, and I'm kind of aware that they're a bit hit and miss. So I have no intention of watching them, but I might watch them at some point in the future. Also, in regards to this, the 2017 live-action remake, I genuinely don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. It's not a perfect movie, it does have its faults, but Scarlett Johansson tries her best with what she's given, and the visuals, both practically and CGI, are fucking gorgeous to look at in this film. And you gotta admit, for a live-action remake of an anime property, this is actually one of the better ones, if not the best one out there. I still think they should have really just left Ghost in the Shell and all of the other animes they've adapted alone. But if you had to choose a better one, or like one of the best ones, this would probably be it. I mean, it's definitely better than something like Dragon Ball Evolution, which just butchers its original source material to the point where you don't even recognise it's Dragon Ball anymore. Whereas this, though it does deviate slightly from the film and even the manga, you can at least say they tried. So guys, that was my review for Ghost in the Shell. I hope you look forward to my next anime review, which will be for The Garden of Words. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.